The closing phase. The closing phase of the project occurs when the project has achieved all the planned objectives and all deliverables have been completed. Here's our project cycle. We're finally in the closing phase. We received information from the monitoring phase telling us there is no more work and all the work's been completed and we don't have any problems in terms of the project and making any updates or changes or improvements. All the work's been done and now we are ready to go into the closing phase. In the closing phase, we have these steps. We have project evaluation. We have an evaluation from an outside consultant who's going to look at the project. You have a project cycle, and you can also be in the midterm evaluation, so that's another end of a cycle. That could be another opportunity for having a midterm evaluation. At the project closing phase, we also have the development of the final reports, that some of those are mandatory by the donor, in which we report everything that the project has done. We also capture all the lessons learned. We take the opportunity that we still have the team and we organize a session and we try to capture and organize all the things that we learned and we know they're going to be beneficial to the organization and future projects. As a project manager, that's also a time in which you need to help your team. They're going to be looking for new jobs, either within the organization or outside the organization, and they are going to be needing some help in that transition by writing letters of recommendation and helping them make transition to new projects or new jobs. You also need to start closing all the contracts, not only the contract with the donor, but also the contracts with all the suppliers of goods and services and consultants that provided support to the project. And then you do the administrative close. You're closing the office, returning all the assets, managing any inventory that was left, and making sure that all the elements of the project are now closed. Here's our flowchart, very simple. We receive all the evaluation reports from the evaluator. We then do the completion report to the donor and to the organization. We then have a session with the team, and we can even invite some stakeholders, even a group of people who were participating in the project, to capture all those lessons learned. So it's not only the perspective of the team, but also perspective of other people. In that time, we also help the team with the transitions. We complete their evaluation reports so they can get the letters of recommendation and move to other projects in the organization or outside the organization. We close the contracts, make sure that there are anything that's outstanding or any payments that might be outstanding, make sure we close all of that, and then the process to close the administrative elements of the project. Some recommendations during this phase is make sure that you review all the contract clauses for closing, especially from the donor. Revise, make sure that you have an understanding what to do with any assets or inventory that was purchased from the donor funds. Different donors will have different approaches in terms of what to do with those assets. And it's important that you understand that and you don't get into more problems later. Vendor evaluations, you need to provide information to your procurement units about the performance of those vendors. Some are being good, some are being bad. That information also will help future projects. Close all the bank accounts. That is important. Make sure that those accounts are being closed so that you don't have any problems later in terms of having open accounts that somebody used it by a mistake, and that usually happens. Make sure that your project is closing all those bank accounts. This is also an opportunity to share that knowledge earned. You will have that session of lessons learned, but don't just keep it within the team. Don't keep it on a document. Try to have a session. Invite people from the organization, invite people that are having similar projects, and have a session where you share that. It's a good opportunity also where you can highlight some of the key elements of the project, the things that you learned, the practices that you have acquired on that, and so that other people or their teams can also take advantage. And my favorite element of the closing phase is to celebrate. That is a good time to start celebrating the successful closing of the project. It's also a good time to recognize all the people that provided support, and not only recognizing the effort of your team, but also the support from key stakeholders, the support from the people in the organization that provided services. So it's important at that moment to celebrate and recognize the effort that everybody did to bring the project to a successful completion.